So I really think that mental health is in crisis in the world because, frankly, I don't think that we had the abilities before to measure whatever was going on with our mental health. In fact, I think mental health is kind of one of those. It's kind of one of those anomalies. Like if we're having problems with mental health in society, like if that's actually an issue, like today, if like where people in the past were literally like, like they didn't live comfortably like we do. Like we live in a much more comfortable time than any other time before. Like let's just be real. Like we have access to more technology and more like things to like make our lives easier, like such as heating devices such as here, like under a lot of things are just really underrated. We don't even think about like how amazing some of the technology we have is compared to like people didn't like people were literally fighting to fucking survive like 100 years ago, man. Like I mean, yeah, the industrial age would happen and all, and like life was probably, and there was probably electrical heating 100 years ago, and there's probably some of the convenience that we have, but they didn't have access to the amount of computing technology we have now. A lot of the things that we think are good, we think that are so convenient with technology. I think there's a lot of drawbacks to having so much access to technology, versus the simple things that we had back then. And I think one of the biggest points I want to make is that the first point I want to make is there are just so many fucking distractions today. There are just so many let's like I don't think there's so many things that can just distract you today and keep so our focus is like way less than it ever was. Like at least I don't think like the last generation is as affected with this as we are, obviously, as the millennial generation and the Zoomer generation, the Generation Z. That we just don't have as much of an attention span as they did. So that's one of the contributing factors to the mental health crisis. I think by far, there's just a series. Like I've definitely experienced depression. I think don't lie, you've experienced it. We've all experienced it. But because of the rate we are processing things with technology, it's just, I think it's not a very natural thing. The way that we use technology is not natural because we are meant to be challenged. It's just part of our DNA. It's part of what makes us, kind of animals in the animal kingdom. Like other animals, they're not like getting iPads out and like texting their friend. Oh, you know what I mean? Um, but that doesn't mean that things are completely easy. Like I'd say that the dating game is just as difficult as it ever was. I think people say it's so hard now, and oh, like people, oh, I wouldn't want to live now, and I don't think that the dating game really has changed that much. I actually, to be honest, don't think things have changed. It's just things have gotten to a higher level than they were in the past because I already know that like my grandfather and my dad would never get laid in this generation. Let's be real. Like I'm not trying to shit on them. Like they're great guys, but they would never make it. They would never make it, man. In at least in terms of the women that they got with, they got very lucky, and thankfully there doesn't seem to be a very much history of divorce in my family, like which is a really different story than for most people. Most people, divorce is like a common thing. Vast majority of women I talk to, a lot of them, most of them, their parents have divorced. Like I don't know very many women where their relationships with their parents. Not trying to generalize, but a lot of the time that's one thing I notice with a lot of women nowadays. And the reason I mention women is because women have been very affected differently than men, and men have been affected in a negative way as well, but it's a different kind of thing. Like the access to obviously internet, PMO. I don't even like saying the word. I really just hate saying the word, but it's day three, and you know, sexuality is one of the biggest drives like of man. Like literally, if I really believe this, like if this shit existed, if a caveman could literally just grab a screen and just get this false kind of reality where he's procreating even though he's not, the human race would go extinct. The human race would go extinct, and we would never get to the height we are, because literally that's what I believe. Because all the people who are like, oh, masturbation's fine, and all these people who, a lot of people seem to be, the majority of people seem to be pro masturbation for men. And I really think it's bad. I really think masturbation itself for men mostly is bad. Maybe it's like, just because people do it, just because it's a habit that people do, and I have to say, like, literally like 3 days ago, I fucking relapsed and I masturbated and didn't feel good, but it killed a lot of my motivation. I have to be honest. There was a lot of negative things that happened. And it's not, I don't really feel ashamed. It's not really that I felt shame. It's just like it actually physically killed some of my energy. And so I've definitely been feeling some negative effects and definitely a dip from releasing. Not really like from the act of like looking or whatever. It's like, because that actually raises your testosterone. And that's what a lot of the positive people will make an argument about. But after you release, I really do think that when you release, I think you release something, some of your testosterone gets lost. I don't know if it's like a lot, but you can just feel it because I just become more emotional. All this anxiety comes out, like all this stupid stuff happens every time I relapse, and it fucking sucks. And it's always the same bullshit. That's the thing. It's always the same bullshit with this habit. So, like I said, that's where the negative effects for men are. The negative effects are men having access to unlimited amounts of pictures of women that you don't even need to talk to a woman, because talking to a woman is a lot more difficult. So you can just go look at picture, of course. And now the opposite is kind of true for women, I realize. Women have access to unfettered access to actual men. Like they can just literally, especially depending on how good looking they are, not trying to hate on you. Look, I love beautiful women. I love women, but you have more access than me. You just do. You have more power. It's just something women need to accept. Not that it's impossible. This is the thing. I'm not here to say that it's impossible for men, but it is different. It is very different and much more difficult for men than it is for women in regards to actually physically finding a partner. It just is. I don't care what. Like, I have respect for you, Amanda. I'm gonna message you because you do. I know you watch my videos. But I have to respectfully disagree with you about the fact that it's easy. Like, I think sometimes you're saying in your videos, like, it's easy. And you put that out there. And I think that's why you get a lot of confusion with the black pillars. And like I said, I'm not trying to discount or rebuttal any of the things that you say. But I think you do need to acknowledge a little bit that the dating game is a little bit different for men. And it is a lot harder. It's a lot fucking harder because it's not that men just want to pick up women. No, that's true. We do want to pick up women, but we want to pick up a certain type of women. And let's be honest, women have a black pill as well. Women have a black pill where their looks matter. Okay, to women, their value, it's just the truth of how a woman looks is very, very important. It's the truth. It's depressing. It is what it is. But women accept that. Women accept that. Women have to accept that. At some point, they have to like realize, in the game, the value is a lot more important for their looks. But that's all they need, really. All they need. Like honestly, women, to a woman here, look, all you need is to look decent. Like, go to the gym. Hell, if you go to the gym even, like most women who go to the gym, like even if they don't do like anything hard, like if they don't even lift weights and they go on the fucking treadmill, they're going to look better than 90% of not 90%, but like most women who are not going to the gym. Women don't have to put anywhere as much effort into looking better athletically to stand out as a man. And that's why I'm saying it's different. And I'm not here to like black pill you and make you depressed, but that's just fucking how it is, guys. Like, looks matter for men and women. It's not a thing. But the difference is, and I think this is where the black pillars, and this is where we get all confused, and why the black pillars bullshit it's just dumb, because we are taking the black pill basically takes that way of thinking with men where we think of women, because the real black pill is that men are interested in looks in women, and that's literally the most important factor. It just is. We are visual, and that's okay. We see, we are programmed like that by nature, but obviously porn fucks that shit up, where it makes it where literally the only best looking, like literally the 12 out of 10 things. So obviously that skews things. So like I said, I'm not here to fucking like generalize. Like, I'm becoming more forgiving, especially with quitting porn, like is helping get rid of that kind of that silly, like unrealistic expectation, and I'm able to not objectify women as much. But the truth is, looks matter more in regards for us to women than they do to women, because women ultimately, I think women will date someone if they're not as good looking, if they have certain things that they can, you know, women are programmed to obviously survive, so they're going to go for people who are more wealthy. And that is what it is, guys. Like, it is what it is. It's one of those things. We can't we are there's one of the things we don't understand about this, that I think the black pill thing does, is the black pill victimizes you, and it makes it say, oh well, you know, they have expectations. It's like, dude, we have fucking expectations for women too. It's not like there's no expectations for women. There is. We just have to fucking, I'm just gonna be honest there. Like, I know this is a long fucking video. We're already over 10 minutes, but fuck it. Listen, the reason that we that we've come to this point where men and women are fighting is because of the technological options. Men are addicted to porn. They have unlimited access to this dopamine surge, this way of, you can just see unlimited amounts of women to the point where you get numb, man. Like, honestly, this happened the other day. Like, you can just see more boobs than, like, you can literally click a fucking page and you see more tits than Alexander the Great ever fucking saw. Like, more than all these fucking great rulers who fucking probably had loads more women than us. Real women, you know, not like fucking pictures on a fucking screen. And I think that's why porn is a fucking disgusting thing, and I think it should be fucking banned. I know that it sounds brutal, but I really do think it should be fucking banned. Like, honestly, I think it's time to block the site. I think that federally, like, make this shit gone. Like, I don't fucking want it. It fucks up your motivation. There's nothing good about porn. Like, masturbation, and it's a different thing, but I still don't think it's really beneficial. I'm not really, but at the same time, I can't control what anybody else does. So honestly, it's like, really, if it's good for you, fine. If it's not, but it's not good for me, so it's one of those things, it affects me in a negative way, so I don't do it. At least, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still trying to figure out this shit. Like, this sexual shit is fucking, honestly, very frustrating, and it's one of the fucking hardest addictions to fucking quit. Like, even after fucking, like, 200 fucking plus days, I still found myself relapsing, and I was wondering, like, what the fuck? But you know what I mean? Like, I know that this is like a vulgar video, or it's going to offend all the Puritans, but truth is, like I said, women have access, but women's the opposite. Women have access to dopamine as well, in a bad way too, that is detrimental to them, and it just doesn't get talked about as much. The social media. One, women have unlimited access to attention and validation and praise and all these things that men just don't have. And that's why it turns into this negative loop where, and it's true. Like, I'm not saying that it's fair. Like, I'm not saying that men should, like, have unlimited access to that. No, I'm saying both are bad, because women have all of a sudden this, you know, this entitled attitude because of all these, you know, all these men that are giving them validation, and women sometimes too. Social media just isn't the real fucking world. Let's just be real. Like, honestly, like, the real world is a lot more fucking brutal than social media. Like, social media is a fucking cancer for both sides, but it just affects us differently, in my opinion. Women are being praised. They post a photo, and don't lie. I mean, I don't care who's watching this. You know, it gives you a dopamine hit. Every time you get a like, you get a hit of dopamine. The same way that, like, a porn addict gets dopamine. Maybe not as much. Like, I don't know if it's, like, as much, obviously. Like, somebody watching porn, obviously, it's like an explosion, like a fucking, there was an explosion of, like, obviously it's more powerful, but still, like, they're getting a lot of dopamine. And if you're on fucking Instagram all day and you post a fucking photo, let's be real, whoever's the girl watching this, and I know it's either Amanda or somebody I know is watching this. Look, hear me out. You need to understand this. Like, if you are getting like 300 fucking likes, that's 300 shots of fucking dopamine. Desensitizes the shit out of your brain. Same fucking way that porn desensitizes you. It's really not that fucking different. And, like, I don't know, women watch porn too. It's not like this is a male-only problem. Women do. There's a couple women who do nofap. There's a couple. Women have this issue too, but I don't think it affects women as much. I don't know. It might affect them more, you know, because they might be affected by the shame of watching it. Women are definitely, the sexuality with women is a different thing. But the same time, like, if, let's just say this hyper stimulant didn't exist, like ladies and gentlemen, let's say just it didn't exist and we had to actually like either come up to each other, like talk to each other, like face to face, or write letters. That was what it was like 30 years ago when my parents were around, like when my parents grew up and they fell in love. They've been loyal to each other. There've been no issues with my parents, and like they've had maybe some issues. Like my mom was kind of mean to my dad growing up. Like, but you know what? Like no shit's perfect. Like life, there's no family that's fucking perfect. No one is perfect. Let's be real. No one is perfect on this earth. But what I'm trying to conflate in this video is that technology, while being convenient and great, and it gives us all this stuff, I guess, I feel like technology it's just too addictive. That's my opinion about it. I can't stop watching YouTube videos. I need to admit to you guys. I can't stop watching fucking YouTube. It's just now, whether I like it or not, I'm going to be watching a YouTube video because it's just become such a habit over fucking like years and years. It's probably a worse habit than porn. Not gonna lie. I always have a fucking YouTube video playing in the background. I'm gonna admit it. I'm working on myself, guys, just like any of you. But self-improvement, the self-improvement that is happening now is not something that people had to deal with in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. Look, there's been lots of problems. We can talk about all the racial shit. We can talk about all the dumb issues that are, all the messed up stuff that's happened in the past. Like, there's all kinds of shit that, yeah, the past was not a perfect time by any means. Shit was fucked and shit was crazy. And I think, honestly, we're going back into one of those times because, like, you know, the war in Ukraine and all that shit. But my point is that we are meant to be uncomfortable. We are not meant to live in this fucking peaceful, like, ooh, la-di-da-di, like, land where we fucking look at fucking screens all day. And I don't see that. This is very dystopian, if you ask me. It's just, if you read a book called Fahrenheit 451, it kind of talks about this a little bit. I mean, it doesn't really, like, the vision, obviously, it was written in the 70s or something, so it was talking more about the screen, but it talked about screens, how screens kind of replace books, and like, so basically the world is you know, books kind of get burned. Instead of the fire department like being somebody puts out fires, they actually create fires and burn books and kind of get rid of that old knowledge. And I just see that shit happening. Like, the shit that's happening in Fahrenheit 451 is real and is happening now because you can just see it. Like, everybody's getting censored. You just don't notice it. Like, everything's getting canceled. Everything's getting censored. You say a certain thing, you're going to get jailed. Like, look at Andrew Tate. Like, personally, I'm not a big fan. There's a couple videos I've made where I shit on Andrew Tate. I don't like him a lot. I don't know for sure if he did anything, if the way that they're doing this investigation, if he did do the crime, that's one thing. The thing is, I don't know, and I'm not a huge fan, but at the same time, like, who, you know, why would he, why all of a sudden is he arrested now? And why all of a sudden, like, you know what I mean? Even though I disagree with him heavily. Like, there's a lot of stuff I don't respect about him, but I don't know if, I don't like the whole way of, like, they find somebody that just it's happening all the time. It's happening to Jordan Peterson. It's happening all the time. The mob is coming to cancel anyone who disagrees with the narrative or whatever. And porn is one of those things, is one of those tools that are keeping, that they are really, really trying to keep it from being banned. It's really strange. Something that is completely wrong. There is a whole movement. It makes sense. Like, it's the same thing as when people smoke cigarettes. It's the same shit. Like, there's an industry that is, like, defending it and, like, is okay with it. It's clearly bad. It's clearly fucking up our brains. But, and like I said, and social media, too. Social media as well. But, like, this stuff is hyper addictive. Let's be real. Technology is hyper addictive. It's like porn is as addictive as cocaine, if not more. It activates all the same. So I think that, like, the same thing happens with social media to women. It's just in a different way. So they get desensitized and they get all fucking, like, because I've noticed this, like, with this girl I was hanging out with, she was fucked up. And she watched porn and she did all this stuff that I was not okay with, and I walked away. I actually walked away from her. And yeah, of course I ended up relapsing a few days later, but who cares? That's beside the point. You know, she smoked in a disrespectful way. The reason, not only this, it wasn't even the fact that she smoked that bothered me. It was because, like, literally I told her, like, we're talking and, like, we're vibing and we're having a great fucking time. Everything's going great. And then she decides to say, like, yeah, I'm going to have a cigarette. Or she meets, like, these two old dudes. And clearly there's something going on. She's actually more into older guys, which isn't weird, which isn't unusual. Women, like, I think this is not an unusual thing. Women like older men. It's one thing it's a good thing if you ask me, for me, because I'm getting fucking old. I'm almost fucking 30 at this point. I'm like 28. So, but anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, she goes, and we're vibing, we're cool, and I just mentioned, oh, I heard, I can't remember, somehow something about cigarettes, and she said she quit, and I was like, I thought I'd gain respect for her, because, like, I know that quitting an addiction is fucking hard, like, so I had a lot of respect for her at that point, like, and we were cool, and I was like vibing with her, because I was like, I knew she was working on herself, like, 'cause I'm trying to quit my shit, I'm trying to fucking become a better person, and she fucking just, like, I don't know what somehow it went to smoking, and I just said, I really said to her, like, I'm going to lose the respect for you if you smoke right now. And what does she do? She just gets all mad. And I guess it's like, it's a smoker thing. Like, people who smoke, they do this. They get all offended because I guess you have to just agree with their addictions or something they're doing to themselves. Like somebody's cutting themselves. Like, people who are addicted to things. Like, I've been in that mentality, so I understand what it is to be an addict and, like, have people comment on it and being like, fuck you, I do what I want. I mean, you know what I mean? You know, that kind of shit. But yeah, so she pulled that type of shit, and I walked away. I was trying to give it a chance at one point. Like, literally, I was trying to give it a chance. But also, you got to realize, this chick is paying for therapy. Like, this girl was, like, commenting and complaining about her trauma and all this shit, how her family abused her and all this bullshit. And she just went back and smoked. And I was just like, you know what? I'm out. Peace. I have more respect for myself than you, apparently. I don't want to hang out with people who aren't committed to themselves. It's just a turnoff for me. And I was turned off, and I walked away. We haven't spoken since. We had, like, an awkward conversation the next day. I ended up blocking her because I was like, this chick's fucking weird. I don't want to have anything to do with her. I was like, peace. It's not fucking worth it. Like, honestly, I mean, human connection is good and all, but I want the right type of human connection. I want good people in my life, and I already do have some good people in my life. Fortunately, they're not right in this vicinity, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So anyway, guys, keep it positive. I don't like technology. I think it sucks, but this is kind of what we have to just deal with it. It's not going anywhere, so oh well.